and we're doing the Civil War.
Cost of the Civil War. In the Civil War, over 600,000 men died in action or of disease, and in all over a million were killed or seriously wounded. Direct monetary cost of the conflict totaled about $15 billion, but this colossal figure doesn't include continuing expenses such as pensions and interest on national debt. The lost cause of the South was lost, but few Americans today would argue that the result was not for the best. The shameful cancer of slavery.
The North strategy for war. First, they slowly suffocated the South by blocking its coast. Second, they liberate
Slow down.
the slaves and hence undermine the very economic foundations of the Old South. Third, they cut the Confederacy in half by seizing control of the Mississippi River backbone. Fourth, they chopped the Confederacy to pieces by sending troops to Georgia and Carolinas.
In Indian Territory, most of the five tribes, the Cherokees, the Creek, Choctaws, the Chickasaws, and the Seminole, sided with the Confederacy. Some of these Indians, notably the Cherokees, owned slaves and felt themselves to be making common curse with the slavery. To secure the loyalty, the Confederate government agreed to take over federal promises to the tribes and invited the Native Americans to send delegates to the Confederate Congress. In return, the tribes supplied troops to the Confederate Army. Meanwhile, a rival native of Cherokee and most of the Plains Indians sided with the Union.
Women in the Civil War. The Civil War was a women's war as well. The women took over the men's jobs while the men were busy at war. Over 500 women became government workers while 100 others became Treasury Department workers. Dorothy Dix was known as the superintendent of nurses for the Union Army.
Emancipation Proclamation. In 1863, it declared forever free the slaves in those Confederate states still in rebellion. The Emancipation Proclamation was stronger on proclamation than emancipation. Thousands of slaves learned of the proclamation and flocked to the invading Union armies. 1 in 7 Southern slaves ran away to Union camps. By issuing the proclamation, Lincoln addressed the refugees' plight and strengthened the moral cause of the Union at home and abroad. Lincoln's proclamation clearly foreshadowed the ultimate doom of slavery. This was legally achieved by action of the individual states and by their ratification of the 13th Amendment in 1865. 8 months after the Civil War had ended, the Emancipation Proclamation also fundamentally changed the nature of the war because it effectively removed any change of a negotiated settlement. Does that sound good? Did I mess up?
Volunteers and draftees. The God of War demanded lots of men. Northern armies were the first manned solely by volunteers, which each state assigned a quota based on population.
Do it again. You messed up there a little bit.
Volunteers and draftees. The gods of war demanded men, lots of men. Northern armies were first manned solely by volunteers, with each state assigned a quota based on population.
Here are some battles from the Civil War. One is the Battle of Bull Run on July 21st, 1861, where Union spectators came with lunches to see the battle. In the beginning, it went well for the Yankees, but Stonewall Jackson's warriors stood like a wall and held them back. When Confederate reinforcements arrived unexpectedly, the Union soldiers panicked and then retreated. The Confederates were so tired and disorganized to pursue them, so they feasted on the captured lunches. At the Second Battle of Bull Run in August 29th to 30th, Robert E. Lee quickly and furiously attacked General John Pope and defeated him. At Antietam, on September 17th, 1862, in one of the bitterest and bloodiest battles of the war, General George B. McClellan succeeded in halting Lee. Then, Lee launched a devastating counterattack called the 7 Days Battle from June 26 to July 2nd, 1862. There, he drove McClellan back to the sea, in which the Union forces abandoned the Peninsula Campaign. On December 13, 1862, in Fredericksburg, Virginia, General Lee devastatingly defeated General Burnside, killing or wounding more than 10,000 Union troops. Fighting Joe Hooker fought with Lee at Chancellorsville in May 2nd to 4th. 1863 and lost. The next battle was at Gettysburg in July 1st to 3rd, 1863, between General George Pickett and Lee. The failure of Pickett's magnificent but futile charge broke the back of the Confederates' attack and broke the heart of the Confederate cause. After that, General Grant captured Fort Henry and Fort Donelson on the Tennessee and Camden Rivers in February 1862. A Confederate force foiled Grant's plans in a gory battle at Shiloh on April 6 to 7, 1862. General Grant was attacking Vicksburg and it surrendered on July 4, 1863. During May and June of 1864, Grant and Lee had several engagements in the wilderness of Virginia. One of them was on June 3rd at Cold Harbor. Later, in April 16, 1865, Union troops captured Richmond and cornered Lee at Appomattox Courthouse in Virginia, and Lee surrendered.
Of the growing of Southern goods, low prices downwards. The most successful blockades were swift, persistent, and were built in Scotland. The Navy enforced the blockade with high branded practice. London, although not happy, accused in the disagreeable doctrine of ultimate destination or continuous voyage. The most Confederate threat to the block came in 1862. Resourceful Scotlanders Rod and Scotland, a former wooden U.S. warship, the Meriden, had plotted its suit.
African Americans in the Civil War. President Lincoln enlisted black slaves in the Civil War. They served the War of 1812. By the end of the war, 180,000 blacks served in the Union Army. Most of them were from free slave states. The black forces had a popular uprising with the help of Frederick Douglass.
Civil War. With the end of the Civil War in 1685, the United States was changed because of the unification of the Union and the Confederacy. After the Civil War, slavery was officially banned, secession was a dead issue, and industrial growth surged formed. The first 12 amendments to the Constitution ratified before the war had all served to limit government power. A historian named James McPhee has noted still other ways in which the Civil War extended authority of the central government. Yet the argument that the Civil War landed a modern American reunion, the lives of Americans, white and black, north and south, while transformed by the war experience. The start of new legal and government inspirations.
Keep reading.
The start of new. Put
Lean
it
back.
up.
Lean back. Hey Jose, hit it.